and it will be available to anybody who asks for it. Happy to provide you with the recording. I also want to tell you that we have some special things for you. You'll also receive, just for your attendance, Ben's 10-step program for marketing success, and also we're providing a free test case credit, so you can get your first case with us as a trial, essentially for free. And then we also have an ebook that we'll be happy to send, 13 ways to grow your personal injury law firm by focusing on your ideal clients. So let me, since we are a little bit late, let me just go ahead and jump right in and tell you that Ben Glass, who's the founder of Great Legal Marketing, is a full-time practicing lawyer who runs a small personal injury, medical malpractice, and long-term disability firm in Virginia. Ben has spent years developing and testing the most effective marketing strategies for his own firm, and today offers an introduction to what really works. I'm, again, Rick Litzky. I'm actually, in short, a recovering hospital administrator. I've been an owner of a medical review consultancy and have been working with Medical Legal Spider since 2011 as we take on complex medical records and organize the files and also create chronological summaries so you can understand exactly what's happening in your client's medical history. We have some simple goals, and that is to add capacity to small firms for more complex cases without having to hire additional staff. So we're completely scalable. We seek to eliminate your workload bottlenecks caused by tedious and time-consuming tasks of handling medical records. And also, in particular, we look to help you identify missing records far earlier. So why don't we just jump right in, and I will also make all of the slides available to anybody who asks as well. So Ben, why don't you take a few minutes and just tell us what's the history of Great Legal Marketing.
Hey Rick, good afternoon. Thanks for having me. And technology is nothing that 2 computers, 3 browsers, and 2 open phone lines can't solve. So no problem with that, right?
Right.
Yeah. So brief background is I've been practicing law for 33 years this October, and I was doing the math, have my own practice for about 20 years. Discovered when I left the firm and started my own practice that while I was a pretty good lawyer and was getting good results and stuff, I soon learned that there's a whole other side to practicing law, and that is you need to know how to run the business, and in particular you need to know how to market. These were the days of the Yellow Pages and the dawn of the internet, really. And so I struggled a bit until I started to get smart and look outside of the legal industry to see what other big companies and small companies did to get clients, customers, and patients. Started using some of that in my own practice, became sort of known, I guess, in the legal world, especially the solo and small firm world, as someone I was speaking a bunch on marketing. And 10 years ago, we just celebrated our 10th birthday, we started Great Legal Marketing, which is a membership organization that we don't sell marketing per se. So we don't sell you websites or pay-per-click ads or newsletters, but we teach solo and small firm lawyers how to think about marketing and how to efficiently, if you're going to spend $1 or spend an hour, what's the most efficient use of that in terms of building a practice through marketing. And the last thing I'll say is we started Great Legal Marketing. It was for personal injury attorneys. Now we have members all across the country and in about 6 or 7 different countries, Rick, all across the consumer specialty. So your DUI, your family lawyer, your bankruptcy, your franchise lawyers, workers' comp lawyers, they share common problems that we're helping them solve.
Okay, great. That's a great introduction. And so why do you continue to focus on the solo and small firms, regardless of their specialty?
Yeah, well, there's a couple. One, because I am one. So I'm a guy who is still I try cases, mediate, arbitrate, meet clients, go to depositions, write briefs, all of that stuff that all of your listeners do in their own practices. And so that is the world that I am most familiar with. That's first and foremost. The second is, the solo and small firm lawyer really is the backbone of the legal economy. There's a huge unserved market of consumers who need legal. We'll talk a little bit about that on the webinar because they're going to do-it-yourself legal. They should be coming to your local solo and small firm attorney, if only that attorney knew how to be not so scary, I think. And the third reason is, I like dealing with business people who take action. And once you get above, maybe 5 lawyers in a firm, then you've got committees and subcommittees, and you have inertia. And our members, by and large, they have 10 employees or less, and they're willing to try things and put them into action, see what works, what needs to be tweaked, and what needs to be dropped. So I'm a huge advocate for the solo and small firm lawyer. I don't think the traditional bar associations are doing much of anything to help them. And we're facing new crises, really, with the rise of what I call the non-lawyer tech firms, the Avos, LegalZooms of the world. There's probably about 24 others who have a ton of money, who are very good at marketing, who are doing things now that other solo and small firm lawyers used to do, and it's causing quite a crisis. But our members are surviving and thriving in that world.
Okay, great. Other than the committee inertia you mentioned, often found at the larger firms, how are the needs of the smaller firms different?
Well, I think so. There's a couple of things. So first of all, needs aren't really that different. So what I like to say, Rick, is whether you're running a bagel bakery, a hair salon, or a law practice, we have the same basic needs. We need to effectively attract, in our world, clients, in their world, customers or patients, perhaps, and we need to have a steady flow of them, or else we don't turn the lights on next month. And so across all businesses, we have an increasingly noisy marketplace. You hear, it used to be when I started this, we would say you hear or see 3,000 marketing messages a day. Today I think it's triple that. If you just kind of think about your day, Rick, everything from looking at whatever computer you're using and the branding on that to the radios, and so it's an increasingly difficult world. So our needs are the same as the mid to large firms, except in this regard, is typically we're self-funding everything. So we don't have 20 partners all putting in $250,000 to fund a law firm. And so we have to be very, very efficient and smart about where we're investing our time and our dollar in marketing. And so that's where I come in, because lawyers, Rick, you probably don't see this, but we do. Like every single day, our email boxes are filled with stuff. I can get you on the first page of Google. I can send you 10 PI leads a month. I can get you, I just read one a minute before we started, I can get you DOI leads. So we're filled with that, and we have to make some really good decisions, because we have to market, we have to build our practices. That's what most people want to do, right? But we're doing it while we're practicing law. I'm doing it while I am still doing all of the work of a good and busy personal injury and medical malpractice law firm.
Okay, and how do you, in this regard then, begin to teach attorneys to measure the outcomes? In other words, to really help them understand how to figure out what's working and what's not.
Yeah, so that's a great question, because when somebody wakes up and starts to think, oh, I need to either do more marketing, Rick, or I need to learn about marketing, the very first several things that we do are to ask what's working, what's not working. And usually, Rick, big surprise, they don't really know. So they'll say, oh, I get these cases over the internet. Well, what the heck does that mean today? Does that mean they came to your website? Does that mean they went to Avo and saw your profile? Did that mean they saw a pay-per-click ad? Right? So to begin with, we spend no money, right? We spend no money, but we start to work on tracking whatever it is that we're doing. So if we're running print ads, we do little things like make sure each print ad has an individual unique phone number in it, and we use a service we love, calltrackingmetrics.com, to run those calls through there. So it keeps track of the calls that ad is producing, records all those calls. We create multiple different landing pages, and we identify those landing pages on the internet, so we know that, hey, they saw this book offer, or they saw this pay-per-click ad, or they came from Avo, like our numbers at Avo are unique. So we start to teach them, Rick, to be aware that you must know this, because you wouldn't give a financial advisor 25 grand, have them come back a year later and say and give them another 25 without asking, how did I do, right? And lawyers, like most small business owners, aren't really good at this at the beginning. But it's just a discipline. It's a discipline we have to start to say, if I'm going to do this particular marketing, if I'm going to go speak, for example, if you're an estate planning lawyer, I'm going to go speak. How do I know that I'm actually making money from that speaking engagement? And so it's creating disciplines to track, and then starting there, because it makes no sense if you come to me and I go, well, you should build a website or you should have a newsletter. That's not an efficient use of your time or your dollar until you really know where you are first.
Okay. Thanks, Ben. So, and you mentioned this before, that small firms tend to spend really very little money on marketing programs. But the reality is, as I understand it, the greatest resource that an attorney has is your time. So how do you help the attorneys justify a time commitment to actually jump in and move the bar?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And what we do is we change the way they think about their business, Rick. So if you ask most lawyers, what do you do? They'll say, I'm a personal injury lawyer, I'm a DUI lawyer, I'm a bankruptcy lawyer. Our lawyers answer that I am running a business. And in fact, I am the chief marketer for my law firm. And so we change how they think about what it is that they do, 5, 6, 7 days a week, however number of days it is, inside their heads first. And we make it okay for lawyers to say, I want to be a great marketer. And here's something that's key to the mind, to the thinking about this, because many lawyers, Rick, if you read the literature from the state bars and stuff, it's anti-marketing. This is a profession. This is not a business. And we say, hold on. If I don't make a profit, I can't do lawyering, okay? And there's nothing incompatible with being a lawyer and a great businessman and a great marketer. And we say to lawyers, Rick, so let's say you're a lawyer. Rick, are you a good divorce lawyer? And you say, of course I am. Rick, is there somebody right now in your town for whom you would be the perfect lawyer? You go, yeah, there probably is. Well, Rick, it's your moral obligation to go and help that person find you. If you're a legitimate lawyer, you do legitimate work and provide a great service to your clients, then we teach lawyers to not only give them permission to market, but say, this is what you're supposed to be doing. This is the best way to help the people in your community, is to let them know that you are there, and that again, we'll talk about sort of getting the perfect client if we have time. But what your perfect client looks like. So we change how they think, Rick.
Okay, great. So the takeaway there is really to help your future clients to find you, right?
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Okay. So let's speak for a minute about the effect of some of these new do-it-yourself legal opportunities that consumers have. and how that's affecting both the practice and the client recruitment, if you will, in the smaller firms.
Yeah, so what we're talking about are the Avos, Legal Match, LegalZoom, who are literally, I mean, I have some numbers here. The online legal services market, this is from IBIS World, is $4.1 billion, the online legal services market. That's not mainly lawyers. That's these big companies with a lot of venture capital money. Most of these companies aren't even profitable yet, but they have the money to throw at TV and internet, and they hire great internet engineers to do that. So, for many lawyers, if you're unfamiliar with marketing and you want to keep doing things the same way we did it 20 years ago, this is a huge threat to your practice, particularly if you're a document-based practice like an estate planning attorney. In many cases, like a family law attorney, even personal injury world. These companies are making inroads there. And so it's a huge threat. And if you read the standard legal literature, almost all of the state bar association presidents are saying this is a huge threat, and our industry is going to go under unless we regulate these people. It's like the taxi cab drivers regulating Uber. Okay, it didn't work, and it won't work. We see this as huge opportunity, because what it tells us is consumers want to pay money for legal. They recognize they have legal problems. They're trying to solve them. Now, when I started practicing 32 years ago, they never really would have thought about trying to solve it themselves. They actually went directly to lawyers, and they did it by appointment and showed up in offices. Today's consumer is much more savvy. Today's consumer is a lady I saw last week who comes with a complicated PI case and has read all the cases and knows all the statutes and has researched 20 lawyers and picks us. So they're very sophisticated. But it tells us that they're out there, and it tells us that we have to market in a way that says, Rick, I can help you. You want to do it yourself? We've got that stuff. We can, if you truly want to do that, we have that stuff at our website, and we'll help you do it. We've got a ton of information. Versus the old way of marketing, which a lot of lawyers still use, which is, hey, I'm the best. I have all these big verdicts. I'm ranked #1 in the local newspaper. Well, consumers don't pay much attention to that because they don't actually believe it, and they really have no good way of judging whether one lawyer is a good lawyer versus another. So they're looking for that information, and what we teach our lawyers to do is to provide in your marketing a path for Rick Litzky if he wants to come in now. So we got that path. But if Rick is just on the internet searching about his personal injury case and wants to know what are the laws in Virginia and how we have a ton of information. And if you'll give me your first name and email address, I'm going to start to drip that to you through an automated process primarily, but also through mailing you stuff, so that you can, when you see our stuff, you'll either help yourself, fine, now I'm a hero, or you'll say, this Ben Glass, he must know what he's doing. Look at all the good information that he's producing for me. And that's how we get clients. And then there's a whole sort of back end to that too. And this is what lawyers can do that DIY legal is not doing very well. They're not forming relationships. We're forming a relationship right from the beginning, and then we're doing a lot of things to cement that relationship with the potential client.
So really a sort of a paradigm shift in terms of how you're initially relating to your prospective client.
100%. Absolutely it is. And this is ever changing. And again, the new legal consumer, Rick, is just so much more sophisticated. It's like doctors have been complaining about this for years, right? Because the people go to doctors and they say, well, I researched and my diagnosis must be, ABC. And the doctor's been rolling their eyes. Well, we're seeing the same thing. So it's a new consumer, requires new tactics.
Great. Okay. And then how then, with all of the clutter, as you talked about before, how then does a solo or a small firm create differentiation from the other attorneys and also from the online marketing companies?
Yeah, so let's just start with Ben Glass Law. So our fundamental inside the walls and I guess outside the walls tagline is, we help people make great decisions about their legal issues, all right? So it's not we're aggressive or, no fee if no recovery, because that's what everybody else is doing. So one of the ways we differentiate ourselves and teach our lawyers is that initial message is different. If you've been hurt in an accident, you might not need a lawyer, surprise, surprise. But before you talk to the adjuster, hire an attorney, or sign any forms, just read our free book, because it'll help you at that stage of your process. Second is you differentiate by the marketing process. So for most lawyers, it's one and done. It's an ad. It's a TV ad, inbound phone call. We take the case or we don't take the case. There's no follow-up. There's no package of stuff that goes to people. There's no trying to make a connection. They're just trying to make a judgment. Case I want, case I don't want. So our marketing process of a multi-step, multimedia, I will keep giving you as much information as you need and ask for, and I will always have my door open if you're ready to come in and chat to us, is a differentiator. And then third thing is, once you're in the herd, once you become a client, we have all these processes to make you really feel at home. And we spend a lot of time and effort in our firm, and we teach this, how to give a Nordstrom's level customer service, because Rick, your client is buying stuff from Amazon. Amazon gives great service, right? It can order it this morning, it comes to your door this afternoon or tomorrow at the latest these days.
Right.
They can go to to FedEx and watch their package be shipped around the world and know exactly when it hits the door. So they're used to, today's consumer is used to dealing with a high level of delivery of excellent service. And a lot of law firms, Rick, if you call them, you know how they answer the phone? Law offices.
Yes.
Or they'll say, law doing blah, blah, blah. And you can't even understand, did I call the right place? So
yep,
and these are little things. Doesn't cost anything to train your team like Nordstrom's trains their team. And it doesn't cost you anything to go observe what great customer service looks like. And we are wrong if we assume that legal consumers aren't looking for this, don't appreciate it, and don't see it as a differentiator.
Great. So not only is it a participatory process versus something passive, but really focused on customer service.
Yeah, I mean that is a huge part. And and so number one complaint consumers have about lawyers is they don't keep me up to date on my case. They don't answer my phone calls. So for example, so in our practice, if one of our clients ever calls to ask us what's going on with my case, Ben gets really mad because we are supposed to be proactive about that, and not just automated email stuff. I'm talking getting on the phone and talking to our clients, even if it's not about their case. Rick, we haven't talked in a while. Just checking in. Ben asked me to call. How's your day? How's your dog? How's your daughter? Okay, and we keep record of all that stuff. This is ideas we stole. We stole these from other great companies and industries.
That's great. And so switching just a little bit to the attorney themselves, what does it mean to be an authority? You and I've talked about that before.
Sure.
Why is it so important in your area?
Well, so again, it's not unique to law, but if you let's say you have a great year and you've got a bunch of money, you've never used a financial planner before, and now you are going to go try to find one, but you've never looked for one before. You don't even know what questions to ask, what criteria to ask. But you find out that there's a guy in your community who's written 8 books, who gives seminars all over the country on this, who maybe has a TV radio show. At the very least, you're going to say, well, gee, that may be a guy or gal who knows what the heck they're doing. And so now that becomes an attractor for you to that financial advisor. It's the same in law. So we teach our lawyers, hey, write books. So I've written a number of consumer books, 5 Deadly Sins That Can Wreck Your Accident Case, The Truth About Lawyer Advertising, things like that. But what it also adds to the marketing mix. So not only do people get a big package of stuff, they can go watch hundreds of videos we've created for the internet, but when someone calls our office, Rick, my staff can say, oh, by the way, do you have Ben's book on long-term disability cases? They'll say no, usually. unless they've downloaded it already. Oh, well, Mr. Glass wrote the book on long-term disability claims in Virginia. Would it be okay if I put a copy in the mail to you? So now, client is saying, oh, Mr. Glass is an author of the book on long-term disability claims. How cool is that? And that, whether or not they actually read the book, all right, most lawyers don't have this. Most lawyers only have a letter or come in for an appointment. So again, we're talking about a marketing process that's different from what most other lawyers are using, and this is how we differentiate, because we're not allowed to say, I'm better than Joey is, all right? The bar doesn't like that.
Okay. Not the least of which, in terms of helpfulness, is the fact that the book is sitting on the coffee table or in the kitchen with your name on it.
Well, that, and actually, if you come in and sat in my lobby, you wouldn't see like Time Magazine and People Magazine. You'd see our newsletters, magazines, because we also publish a magazine, our books, and the books of some of our referral partners. So, we taught the workers' compensation lawyer how to write a book. We refer our cases to her. Her book's in my lobby. So that's how this all works.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So moving ahead, because I know our time is short. So what opportunities are there for attorneys to turn their marketing efforts really into a process and into systems?
Yeah,
it seems that that's what you've really been talking about.
Yeah, and let's go back to this is a business. And business means we have systems for getting things done. And it's really important for lawyers particularly to have marketing systems. Why? So that the lawyer can spend his or her time thinking about the cases, right? We're getting paid, Rick, for being high-level thinking strategists about our clients' cases. Everything else, how a case is processed, how the marketing is done. So we're huge fans of Infusionsoft, which is a big marketing database CRM that we have actually customized. We're partnered with Infusionsoft to create something for lawyers that automates. So every touch you make with us, you call one of our phone numbers, you fill out a web form, it's going through our automated marketing system, so I don't have to touch it, so I can go to sleep or go to my kids' soccer games on the weekends, and stuff is happening. And lawyers, some lawyers, Rick, they'll say, well, I don't want to be like systems, so think McDonald's, and I'm not McDonald's, I deliver unique services. I agree with that. But you should not be spending your time actually doing the marketing. You should be creating the marketing and creating the marketing systems. Let them run themselves. You need to work on your cases and be creative. Help your clients find creative solutions to their legal issues in an efficient way. That's what makes us heroes. That's what differentiates us from DIY legal, do-it-yourself legal. That's what differentiates you from the big law firm that can buy every billboard, every radio slot, every TV slot in your community. It's being able to have these relationships and still having the time and energy to be really creative about solving their problems.
Okay, that's great. So really, it's a system for marketing and how you approach bringing the clients to the front door, essentially. So let's say, okay, now the phone rings, or somebody walks in the door. What's next?
Yeah, so we talked a little bit about really training the staff up outside the legal industry to say we are going to deliver golden 5-star service. We're going to answer the phone right. We're going to make it so you never have to ask us a question. All of that stuff. Because people get thrust into our world, Rick, involuntarily. You don't plan for a year to hire a lawyer. You get a DUI. You have an accident. You found out your spouse is cheating on you. And now you're thrust into our world. So we're going to make that as comfortable as we can. The second thing, defining and focusing on the ideal client, is critical. And most lawyers either don't get it or they're unwilling to think about it. But everyone, if they've been practicing for any length of time, they know who they like to work with, and they know what their own skill set is and who they can help the best. And so what we tell lawyers is you want to define that avatar client, and even in the PI world, because there's a certain criteria that we want people to have before we'll accept them as clients. And so once you define that for yourself and be kind of ruthless about this, and ruthless means you're defining, all right, and you're not taking everybody, and you don't have to take everybody, then you create marketing that attracts that avatar client and repels the others. So for us, if you've got a small injury, not much property damage, you're calling us on the way to the hospital, and you're not really hurt, we don't want you, and our marketing repels that. And so, and that's critical because we're not going to spend $1 creating a new ad or creating a website until we understand who we're trying to attract to walk through the door. And most lawyers give no thought to that. Most businesses give very little thought to that. But the lawyers who understand it and are ruthless and are willing to do it, sort of overcome the fear of, gee, maybe one of those will never walk through, they win. And then this, because I know our time is short, we want to convert leads to profitable clients. And my big picture here is that there's really two things. So we talk about monetizing every lead. Again, lawyers who don't like me to use business terms like leads and monetizing, they won't like what I have to say, and that's okay. That's not who we're trying to attract, right? I just repel them from great legal marketing. That's fine. They'll never be a good member here. But every person who calls your office, whether or not you take their case, is a potential referral source for you, is a potential evangelist for you. So they have value. It costs money for you to have them call your office or fill out a web form. All right, that was generated by somebody. We want to bring them into the herd or the tribe. We want them, even if I don't take their case, to love us, to know what we do, to be able to articulate our story, and to go get us more clients. Cool. The other, and then there's that set, hey, we want you to be a client. Well, you've already seen a different marketing scheme to get you in the door. The magic of the marketing that we do, Rick, is that most of the time, when someone is sitting in our conference room, the tables are turned. They're actually pitching us on their case. They're asking us to take their case. We're not selling anything because they've gone through a process that convinces them, without me saying it, that I am the wise man at the top of the mountain. And this absolutely can be done by any attorney. It takes some time to think about, to create stuff. What I'm really good at, and we talk about at our conferences, is helping you. So if you came to me, Rick, tell me a little bit about your practice, where you've been, who you're at, who your perfect client is, helping each lawyer kind of figure out what's the next step in my marketing journey. That's what great legal marketing is. Again, we don't sell the websites. We don't sell the pay-per-click ads. We're protecting you from all those people that are selling. And by the way, just real quick on terms of internal systems, I mean, your company has changed the way we do our disability and some of our personal injury work because, when I first met you, I was like, oh, I don't know, I've never dealt with a company like this before to take my medical records. But you guys have worked very closely with us to develop great processes to give me exactly what I want. You deliver top-notch service on time or before time, and anytime there's a little glitch, it gets fixed immediately. So you're doing in your business exactly what we're preaching over here, applying great business practices and making me go tell your story, because I tell the spider story, right? Because I know what your story is. So that's what we're trying to do in law. That's applying business principles to the legal profession. And that really is, just optimizing the attorney's time versus staff and outsourcing. The lawyer should be thinking creatively about his case. Everything else can be ethically and efficiently delegated to someone else whose value of their hour is not as high as the value of your hour should be. And medical legal spider is just one of our great tools.
Well, we appreciate that. I don't see any questions that have come in from our audience, so let me ask one here. I'm really kind of taken with the idea that you've kind of turned the tables a bit, and your prospective clients actually seem to be selling you on why you should take their case, right?
Yeah, I mean,
and it really flows right into the last bullet point here, which is optimizing the attorney's time.
Yeah,
so
right.
So you really taught the public, You've really
Yeah.
taught the public how to digest what's important, and maybe you provide them tools for that, and then come back and say, okay, here's what I got.
It's what Apple does when they're releasing a new product and you have people lined up around the corner, right? Those people aren't asking, is this the right product for me? They're saying, please sell me one before you sell out. I will pay you anything for it. And our teaching is that lawyers should be proud of that, should be using that, because it serves the community best when you can get a client who needs you and your skill set matches that client, your skill set and your experience matches that client. Now the community is served, and everything else is subpar. So if you're letting everyone in your door, you're not going to be great for everyone. If you're unwilling to refer someone out to someone who's better or has got a particular experience that you don't have, then that's not what we're supposed to be doing, in my view, my opinion. I write about this a lot. I've got a book called Renegade Lawyer Marketing, which folks can find on Amazon. I know you're giving away our free report, one of our free reports. It's got a lot of this in here, and we've got a very unique organization of entrepreneurial-based lawyers who understand this and who accept the business aspect of it. And I gotta tell you, Rick, by and large, they're thriving even very difficult times.
Great, and certainly I'm sure you're helping them really move the bar quite fast. So why don't we go ahead and wrap it up for now. Any parting thoughts, Ben? Key pieces of wisdom you'd like to come back to and pass along?
Yeah, I mean, look, if you've never thought seriously about marketing, and you don't buy in even to what I say, at least go start to read some of the biographies of great companies and of great entrepreneurs to see how they think, and then don't be afraid when you see a good idea to say to yourself, how could I use that idea in my practice? Maybe no one's ever done it before. We do a lot of things that no one's ever done. Some work, I mean, many work, some don't work, and you ditch them. But you try different things, because lawyers cannot practice the way we've been practicing for the last 10, 20, 30 years. It will not work. You will be overcome by DIY legal, and you'll be overcome by the general noise in the marketplace.
Great. Well, Ben, thanks very much. I want to thank everybody who joined us for your participation. As I had mentioned before, we have the different giveaways for you. We have Ben's list, we have our ebook, we have the free test case for you if you do have a complex medical record that you need to attend to. I'll leave my contact information here for a little bit, and you can certainly route any questions my way, and I'll get them to Ben, or you can reach him through their website. I would absolutely encourage you to take a look at what they're doing, and it's really not only is it enlightening and helpful business-wise, it's really very entertaining when you get in a room with like-minded professionals like yourselves, and you can really see the common purpose develop. So once again, we thank you so much for your participation. Ben, I thank you for leading the discussion. It's always a pleasure to speak with you. And this, we anticipate, will be the first of the Medical Legal Spire series of webinars. So please stay tuned for future topics. Again, thanks very much, all. You're welcome. Thank you. Okay. So